Please welcome Martin van der Roost.
Hi, my name is Martin van der Roost. I'm with the vdR group, and I'd like to share with you a connectivity solution for Aras Innovator that effectively extends Aras Innovator into the enterprise. Before I start, a little bit about the group. We've been around for about 35 years, focused on data management solutions for engineering manufacturing. Have worked with a number of companies, and as a part of our organization, we also license technology, and so we estimate that there's over 200,000 users of our technologies. And we're very much a partner-based economy, working with Aras, a close partner to Aras for many years, Autodesk for multiple decades, likewise with OpenText, and recently Cinequa. And as a result, our focus is really on helping our partners and their customers get the most out of their products within this engineering and manufacturing space. So the solution I want to discuss is what we refer to as Aras Nexus for Aras, which, as you can see in the diagram, extends Aras Innovator into the enterprise, being able to communicate with different platforms. This is an outgrowth of our work for over 20 years of building numerous connectivity solutions, and where we've had to treat the issues of part and BOM release logic, right? For those that may have done something like this before, you recognize that these aren't trivial operational activities. Also being able to treat the release of documents, large files, and then consider the emerging presence of cloud platforms that still need to potentially communicate to on-premise solutions. It is designed from the ground up to meet engineering and manufacturing activities and the requirements of that space, as just mentioned before. It seamlessly extends Aras Innovator into the enterprise, whereby we've got a number of developed capabilities within Aras that automates this exchange of data with other platforms. And one of the key brands of Nexus, if you could think of it that way, is the idea of making this all simple, right? How do we shorten the implementation period, ensure that it's easy to maintain, and we keep the cost of ownership much lower than what may have been found in traditional data exchange platforms. Moreover, when we think about connectivity, we think of it in a strategic sense. It's not just about being able to connect other silos, right? We all recognize that silos create a number of challenges, but we see connectivity as being an enabler of the digital transformation initiative. Everyone talks about digital transformation. Peter's opening session was about this. Peter Bolello from SimData on the closing session on Monday talked about digital transformation. And it is about connectivity and being able to connect applications with the right data at the right time, coexist with other platforms, might even be competitive platforms, and so on. So this diagram illustrates what has been done with Nexus, being able to connect Aras Innovator into these other platforms. But in the spirit of sharing a strategic approach to how Nexus can enable this, we'd like to go kind of through a story of what it means to connect to other systems. So in this illustration, we show Aras representing the master product data repository. On the left-hand side, we show the fact that there are, in many instances, a PDM solution of sorts, a CAD modeling manager, if you will. Needless to say, ERP is pervasive in engineering manufacturing companies, as in many companies, right? It's the financial end of the business. And then oftentimes, and we're seeing this more and more, is the fact that ECM, Enterprise Content Management, is being used to support the master document repository, right? This is the theme of potentially SOPs, contracts, specifications, etc. So the key question here is, how does this all work together? As you see here off to the left, it could be, for CAD Model Manager, it could be Windchill with Creo. It could be Teamcenter operating with NX. CATIA, of course, on 3D Experience, Novia, and Vault, Autodesk data management solution, and interestingly enough now, potentially Upchain. But represents the idea of managing CAD environments. For the purposes of this conversation, we're going to use Vault to represent the interoperability possibilities. Let me pause on this for a moment, though, and share a commentary about CAD and CAD platforms. As many of you know, CAD vendors are tying their CAD solutions much closer to their data management platforms, right? There's so much add-on functionality. If you think about, the standard SolidWorks environment, it's got, CNC capabilities, it's got multimedia capabilities, it's got EDA extensions, etc. So these extensions tend to complicate the whole theme of tying into CAD platforms. Moreover, can the argument be made that CAD files are dead, right? CATIA is closely tied to Novia, right? CATIA 6 is the actual geometries of Novia. What is the file format of Onshape? And most likely others to come. So philosophically, as we pause on this part, we believe strongly that as a part of the strategy, focus on connecting to the data management platform of the vendor, not necessarily the CAD platform. It's frankly liberating in many ways. But let's continue the conversation. So on the right-hand side, ERP, for illustrating this, it could be a number of platforms, right? Oracle EBS, NetSuite for SMBs, Plex, great with automotive, right? Very well recognized for automotive. And then Microsoft has its ERP solution, Business Central, oftentimes referred to as D365. And then in the lower portion, we have the ECM capabilities. And again, this is where a company would view ECM, Enterprise Content Management, as the primary master document repository. And this could be SharePoint, very common with folks that get Microsoft's 365, right, kind of built into that. Could be OnBase, Alfresco, open source, as well as a subscription, powerful, recognized for a number of industries. And then OpenText has done quite well in large enterprises, and they happen to be a partner of vdR. So what we want to illustrate here is this theme of, how does this all work together? And I want to pause, kind of set the stage for this. Again, when we think about the digital thread, right, it's not one platform is going to do it all. We all recognize that. And we want to be able to achieve this digital thread capability through connectivity. So our argument is digital thread is enabled by connectivity. That's the only way it could happen. And then being able to bring in best of breed applications to all work together. So let's go through this story. How does this all work together? Again, a strategic approach. People talk about connectivity. We want to talk about what it means for the enterprise. So in this illustration, we're going to start with Aras Innovator. And the theme here is Aras Innovator, as you all know, has a great change platform. And during this process, it's recognized that a CAD model is maintained in Vault. So that then activates a trigger to Vault to start its change process. Vault, and by the way, this is what we call our event trigger use case. Vault then gets initiated with its change process to change these the part and documents as needed. All along, we have this concept of data federation, being able to dynamically retrieve data from multiple resources that can be viewed by the user only on an as-needed basis, right? So this is what we call data federation, and that works in all the connections here. So it doesn't just necessarily point back to Vault. it points back to Aras Innovator and so on. Then once this is completed, data then is released back to Aras Innovator. Aras Innovator concludes its change process. And then what does it do at the end of the change? Well, given the fact we now have ECM in the picture, we want to release that document to OpenText. This is where master documents are maintained. This is a rendition, right? We don't have the need for the geometry. But then what we also do is we return the URL that's saved in OpenText. And now collectively, this data is released to the ERP environment, right? It's the complete part or collection of parts in a BOM. The URL for the viewerables that are associated to the items are all saved in the ERP environment. What's this mean? That users within the ERP environment, folks in purchasing, manufacturing, inspection, can all see that document while they're working out of D365, but it's maintained in the OpenText environment. And this process is repeated over and over again. So the idea here and what we're introducing is not just connectivity, but how to synchronize the data and what does that look like. So just to recap, draw it to the close, this Nexus platform that we're talking about really is a platform to enable the extension of Aras Innovator into the enterprise. Tie these systems, tie the solutions together, leverage the strengths of each platform, right? Aras is very capable, but there's certainly other platforms that are so-called best of breed that do a number of things in the different areas of the product lifecycle. And then the primary use cases that we just illustrated that are important to note are the part BOM release, the document release, these event triggers, and so on. And there's much more to this, of course, but we wanted to share this briefly to give you a sense of Nexus for Aras and what it represents an opportunity to extend Aras into the enterprise. There's much more information. We'd welcome a chance to show you more. Everything that we just went through, I just went through, is actually fully demonstrable. So if you'd like to see a demo of that and see how it works, look under the hood, we'd welcome that opportunity. There's a case study available. We do have a presence at ACE. We're one of the sponsors, so we have a booth there as well. So with that, thank you for your attention and your participation.